Hello friends, this is Sai Fanindra from SQL School, and with all my love, dedication, and my duty as a mentor, as a trainer, I assure you complete practical orientation into a very useful, a common technological benefit for every resume is your DevOps. Come on, let's get started. Let's understand what we are going to learn in this course. Before that, yes, here it is. The session should be completely into practice mode, right from the start, right from the very next class. And today we are going to have some small introduction on what is Azure and what is DevOps and what is Azure DevOps, and we shall be having some insight into our actual course. Yes, we are into box number 11. A common technological benefit for every resume. A common cream on every resume cake. Yes, why it is and what it is. Let's understand step by step. Before that, let me tell you, to get into Azure DevOps, the above stated technologies are not really required. But in case, if you are already into or if you are planning for SQL or BI courses or Azure or admin, then DevOps is required. Hope you got it. Let me repeat it again. To get into DevOps, Azure DevOps, the above stated courses are not required. But if you are into either MSBI, Power BI, Azure Data Engineer, or SQL Server as a programmer or a developer or administrator, for anyone, everyone, DevOps is required. It is just a cream on piece of cake. Any flour cake, yes, the cream goes well with it, right? The same thing here. Come on, let's understand now what is DevOps and why we require it slowly, step by step. DevOps is a combination of development and operations. Means dev plus ops. What is development? Yes, it's all about coding, design, programming, and logic implementation. Operations are more into monitoring, management, administration, maintenance, etc. And DevOps is actually a culture, a process that we actually follow in every company. It's mainly for the purpose of collaboration between development team and the operation team. For what? For a better quality software design, application, and maintenance. Means DevOps is a practice collaboration between development and operations team, right from planning phase to deployments, means to make the project live, and also to production maintenance, monitoring activities. And this DevOps actually evolved from SDLC, software development lifecycle. Let's understand now what is SDLC, why we need it, what are the different implementation methodologies in SDLC, what are they, and then we are going to learn what is DevOps lifecycle and the tools involved in DevOps and different stages of DevOps lifecycle. And finally, what is Azure? Why to go for Azure DevOps? This journey would take about 20 minutes. Let's get started now. So here it is. What is SDLC? The software development lifecycle is a process, a methodology used by the software industry to design, develop, and test high quality software. So this SDLC methodology focus on different phases, right from requirement analysis. Here analysis means requirement analysis, to design, to implementation, testing, release, or simply say here deployment activities and maintenance. The release in a production environment is nothing but the deployment and maintenance activities. So any software we build is more or less into these circular lines. And this is the traditional process. The advantage of this traditional SDLC process, it provides a standardized framework that defines the activities and deliverables. This SDLC process improves project planning, estimating, and making projects tracking easier for both the customers, the clients, project management, project leads, and even the project SMEs and members, individual members. It increases the visibility on all aspects of life cycle and increases speed of development, understanding the status and the status of the current project and getting into the speed of development, improves client relations because we are following a specific process step by step, and decreases the project risks and project management expenses because we are going in a sequential way. Now, how to implement the SDLC? Yes, this software development life cycle can be implemented in 3 different ways: Waterfall Method, Agile, and DevOps. Waterfall Method. It's a great methodology for implementing the SDLC. It is simple and straightforward implementation, wherein we'll be having the feasibility check first for the project. Then comes the requirement analysis. Then comes the actual design and getting the actual planning activities. Then comes code and then unit testing, integration and system testing, and maintenance. Code and unit testing is into testing of individual components, individual source code. Integration and system testing is into testing of the entire environment or the entire module we call. But there are limitations. Limitations with the waterfall method. Testing was done only after the complete deployment has been done. If a client has any feedback, it will take really lot of time and money to rebuild the entire application because it's sequential. It's sequential, and going back in this journey lines is not at all difficult but time consuming. It was the best method to follow in the ancient days, in 1970s, 1980s. And the client has to know exactly what he really needs to. And there is limited flexibility for change. And we know change is something that we need to accept now, right? At every level. At every level. So then comes Agile. Involves an incremental approach like the waterfall method, but with an iteration, with an iterative perspective. And in parallel, throughout the Azure software development cycle, we have customer feedbacks, incorporating small rapid changes and speeding up the release. So we're actually breaking the product into smaller divisions, get them designed, get the customer feedback after testing it, then finally integrate them into the testing purposes, actual testing process for the entire project or the entire component as a single unit. It's all about divide and design, finally consolidate and test. This is the actual subject line for Agile. You divide the things, design it, finally consolidate and test. So the advantage, the Agile methodology considers customer feedback throughout the project, and this gives us enough time for making easy, seamless decisions. And this Agile process always welcomes making changes, but there is a cost tag involved, extra cost tag involved, or extra price tag, we say. Ability to scale, and there is a continuous attention to the technical excellence and good design with timely customer feedback. So this method prioritizes and schedules the most valuable features of implementation, decreasing the risk of having unusable resources, unwanted resources in our actual delivered product. Small and dedicated teams are involved with high degree of involvement and good coordination. But there are some cons on it. There are some disadvantages in Agile. More time, limited documentation, and requires minimal planning at the beginning, but it's a continuous process. It's easier to develop the product very quickly, but there is never a finite end, because there is a lot of involvement at every level, and the things may keep on changing over time for multiple reasons. Time consuming process, so it is costly, and there is still a gap between development or operation folks. There is minor or no gap between customer and the development team, but development team to operation team, there is still gap involved in Agile methodology. Yes, it was at this place in late 1990s and 2020s, when late 90s and 20th century, there came DevOps. Yes, here we go. The main release of the main implementation of DevOps started recently, just 5 to 6 years back. We have a lot of tools at that time. Then 4 to 3 years back, the tools were having good amount of integration, and then slowly came cloud environment for automations in DevOps. Here it is. Why we require DevOps? A process. It brings together, binds together development and operations team members into a common communication channel. It's a culture that automates system and improves and accelerates the delivery to the client in iterative, repeated manner. So, who is a DevOps engineer? Yes, DevOps includes developer team, test team members, infrastructure members, system admin members, data engineers, and analytics. Everyone is inside the DevOps process. It's a part of the project. Wherever project goes, DevOps follows. Wherever software goes, DevOps follows, some form or the other. So in the olden days, the development and operation teams never got along until DevOps came into existence. Why? Developer would say, yes, the code is working fine from my end. The operations team would say, no, it's not getting integrated into our system. Please recheck it again. They'll send it back. So developer team will simply push it forward, and operations team will just send it back. And there came a big hurdle in olden days until Agile. It is from DevOps wherein the things got very much streamlined. So DevOps pays equal attention to all phases, right from planning, development to testing and release and deployments. Well, So here is the life cycle information for DevOps. It's very much required to start our classes. They're completely into practice based from the very next class. So let's stay tuned. Let's get the life cycle information here. So DevOps focus on bringing all development, operations, IT, testers, system admins, and QAs. Well, it's all about the product planning and quality assurance, everyone into a single roof. Hence, all these people together are called DevOps engineers. They share end-to-end responsibility of gathering the information, the project requirements, setting up the required infrastructure, development, coding, testing, deployment, continuous monitoring over the entire journey, and fetching feedback from the end users. And it's all, we do this for better results. For better results. I mean, it is something like this. It's all about planning, coding, build, test, release, deployment, and operations, and monitoring. And the story continues. So development phase, you got different phases here. Total of 8 different phases, different purpose, and tools for each of these phases, a regular DevOps environment. So we have coding phase. Developers build the code and developers build the required version of their program or the code. They make it ready for the actual delivery. They test it. They release it to different environments. They deploy it to the main live environment and perform the operations. The application is run after its deployment. So customer starts to use it in real world environment, real world scenarios. Monitoring activity, an ongoing process. Keep on monitoring the software and go ahead for planning activities. Let the customer give the feedback and plan for the next level requirements. It is just a cycle kind of activity. And at every DevOps phase, there used to be different tools. My God, so many tools, so many phases. Can't we make it simple? Yes. There comes Azure DevOps. There comes Azure DevOps. Coming to the Azure DevOps. Yes, before that, let's understand what exactly the Azure means. What exactly the Azure means. Yes, Azure is a cloud environment, also called as Microsoft Azure, for building, testing, deployment, and managing applications and various services. We have storage services, network services, we have container services like Docker, Kubernetes, part of our course. We have virtual machines, part of our course, and so on. The list is really endless. Then what is this Azure DevOps? Yes, in earlier days, we used to call it VSTS. Yes, until 2016, 2017, we used to have this. Then slowly came this Azure DevOps in 2017, later years, and 2018. Used for easy planning, management, control on the source code, full control on the source code, because it is now completely cloud-based. I write something and I say commit, you'll be able to see it from the other part of the globe. And interactive automated test cases and productive deliverables for the customers. Cheaper, easy to use, easy to integrate with existing SDLC, software development mechanisms, lifecycle mechanisms, Agile and DevOps. Existing Agile, existing regular non-Azure DevOps implementations can be easily integrated or migrated to Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps helps us in creating and deploying applications with either Azure DevOps Service or Azure DevOps Server. So there are two different things we need to learn for our job work as well as for our certification, age at 400. For development of quality applications efficiently in organizations. Yes, it is very much specifically clear, transparent. Yes, we need to have DevOps. In general, we need to have Azure DevOps in particular to make it a seamless, a streamlined, simplified, and easy delivery of any project. Simply say everyone should be aware of the Azure DevOps process. And why? Yes, on my screen. It's all about customer. It's all about the feedback and conclusions on our project at the end of the day. Is my customer happy or not? And what we do, how we do, how quick we do is more important, right? And it's not only me in the project. We have others who are into development, testing, management, monitoring, release, etc. There are Scrum Masters. There are project team members, team leads, team managers, project leads, project managers, so on, including a lot of other stakeholders. Sometimes few projects involve not only the customers, even the investors as well. So even time and the implementation levels play a vital role. So here it is. It's all about continuous development, continuous integration to the live environment, continuous testing of the integrated environment, continuous monitoring, and feedback collection from the customers. It's a cycle. It's an ongoing process. And now, here it is, a small comparison with Agile and DevOps. In fact, here it is the Azure DevOps we are talking about. Yes, we have development, testing, operations. Agile is more into development with customer requirements and requirement analysis. But in Agile, still there is a gap between development to testers and operations. That is filled with DevOps. In our course, we are going to understand not just DevOps and Azure DevOps, even the migration activities as well, part of the course. So we need to learn about Azure DevOps Service, cloud-based, Azure DevOps Server, on-premise, non-cloud, that actually runs on SQL Server databases. So what we are going to learn in this course? Yes, we are going to start with the basics of Azure. I assume we are very new to Azure environment as well as DevOps environment. And we need to get them together. We need to sandwich them together carefully. Right? Stuffing in a lot of flavors into it. So Azure is one environment, DevOps is another environment. It's all about how to get these two new things and stuff them into a single plate. We'll start from the very basics of Azure fundamentals. Then slowly get into DevOps fundamentals. Then Azure DevOps concepts, Azure DevOps services, Active Directory, we say AAD, Azure Active Directory. Azure boards, work items, and there are different types of work items like basic work item, agile work item, scrum work item, and CMMI. Next, we'll be taking all these concepts in step by step practice way. We'll be taking it step by step. And here CMMI means capability maturity model integration. CMMI means the capability maturity model integration. We'll understand it in great detail step by step. In real world, mostly we use first two, but yes, we need to have the other two. Example based knowledge as well. We'll do it carefully. Virtual machines, containers, and how they are related to Azure DevOps engineers. We have something called Kubernetes and Docker containers. We have boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, artifacts, and queries. And we have CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous development and deployment activities, including continuous delivery activities. We need to practice them. A lot of examples with CI/CD pipelines in our course. Dependencies and job deployments. We have something called DevOps Server concept that actually requires SQL Server and Visual Studio in your computer. So these two components to be installed in our computer, and we need to understand about the comparisons between DevOps Server, DevOps Service, when to use which, how to use both. And we have Agile to Azure DevOps migration. We have Team Foundation Server and Git comparisons. And we have Visual Studio team systems and team servers with DevOps comparisons. End-to-end implementation with AZ 400 certification guidance, and above all, concept-wise FAQs and solutions, part of this course. So who can really learn this? Anyone, everyone. The Azure DevOps is needed for everyone in IT industry. A developer, a tester, an admin, or a manager, or a consultant, or a data analyst, everyone, anyone. Then how to start with? Yes, basic knowledge of SQL is very much recommended for two reasons. Number one, queries. We need to write, of course, user interface queries, but we need to know the terminology like columns, fields, some analytic activities. First thing. Number two, yes, it is required for every data, every database, every project. We have some SQL with us. That's always an added advantage. So anyone, everyone can get into this beautiful, colorful Azure DevOps course. Now, back to our screen. How to get started? Yes, you will be receiving this. Of course, already there in our website, you will be receiving this course curriculum. We'll go through it carefully. Where to get started with? Right from the Azure fundamentals will start. Right from the basics. Total of 18 chapters. And then comes a project work. Each chapter is timed for about 50 to 60 minutes. Practice orientation. And you require equal number of hours for practicing the same concept, and again another set of equal number of hours for revision activities. So from our end, 18 hours you plan for the practice examples and everything. You require another 36 hours additionally if in case you would like to get good grip on the subject and win your certification AZ 400. Yes, the course curriculum is planned as per the AZ 400 certification pattern very carefully, without leaving even a single technical terminology. So we'll be starting right from DevOps to slowly get into Azure DevOps. That is plan A. Plan B includes additionally data engineering. The plan B additionally includes Azure Data Engineer, a much happening technology now. And if in case you would like to showcase more in your resume, then yes, we have Power BI as well, which is more into reporting and big data analytics. Once again, my commitment, my promise, sessions would be completely into practice zone, 100% hands-on. Either you go for live or on-demand videos, any type of training mode, it is the same chapter, same content, same curriculum, same example, same mock tests and answers. The sessions would be completely into practice mode. And with this information, let's make sure we plan our resume accordingly once you join the course. As the course proceeds, you'll be having good amount of technical information, and slowly we need to shape up our resume also. By mid of the course, we need to step into the resume activities, and by end of the course you would be getting the certification samples, and you should be able to win the examination there and thank us from your job desk. That's what we need. With this information, we'll stop for now. Any further clarifications, please reach me either on a call or email, and glad to assist you. Thank you once again. Have a nice time and see you there in our actual classes, right from the basics with good amount of examples throughout the course. Thank you once again. Have a nice time. Thank you.